To everybody here to Chartered Accountants House in Pearse Street, to what is our second conference in our home here. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, everybody who has helped in organising what's going to be a fantastic day and a half, and also especially everybody here for attending. We had a great success last year in our conference, and obviously it was quite a significant move to move the conference back from our traditional location of Galway. And a small price, I suppose, that we had to pay was that the traditional golf the day before, unfortunately, we couldn't accommodate here in Dublin. But I think everybody will agree that last year was a great success. And the first step in terms of trying to make sure that we replicate that success was taken by making sure that we have a fantastic lineup of speakers for us all over the next day and a half. And also, it's great to be able to use our own home here in Pearse Street in terms of, in terms of the conference, given what it can do for us. The theme of the conference is about reinventing the future. And in looking to look at areas that we need to reinvent, I suppose one of the key areas is the whole area of audit, which provides a practice livelihood for quite a considerable number of our members. And as a profession, we have rightly been included in the forensic analysis of the economic failures in the country over the last couple of years, because really what went wrong was so catastrophic that no party should be excluded from the process. And as a society, it really is crucial that we do learn from these mistakes and we respond accordingly. And I'd be particularly interested in what Constantine has to say about that over the course of the afternoon. But the recent Nyberg report that was just published over the last couple of weeks has dealt with, amongst other things, audit and financial reporting. And one of the things in the Nyberg report it has set out is it's very clear that the auditing profession, in relation to the banks, has performed its statutory functions, but we have been subject to criticism for not doing more. And that is a similar criticism to what was issued in the House of Lords in the same way, where, as I said, that the auditors did what they were required to do, but more could have been done. Of course, the problem in doing more is that if your process is defined in statute, and also you are following internationally set rules, the risk exposure of trying to do more is quite considerable. And the Minister for Social Protection, one of our members, Joan Burton, I think she set out the difficulty with the terms of reference in the Nyberg report when she sought to have those terms amended. And just to quote her, she said that it is the role of the auditor to decide whether any decision is within the powers of the company, but it's not the role of the auditor to tell business persons what they should do, or however unwise that may seem. And it seems to me the Minister hit the nail on the head in relation to that, but I suppose her understanding of audit is that of an insider, that of an informed person, and obviously isn't something that's necessarily reflected out there in the public debate. And the problem for audit is that the public expectations about the function of audit is very much out of line with the actual purpose at this point in time. And I think as a profession then we have to ask ourselves then, are we meeting our societal obligations and social needs in relation to audit? And that's a key learning of the financial crisis, that more is expected of the audit than what the audit currently offers, which is no simple matter in the current litigious environment. And the reality is, however, that there is no proof of systemic audit failure, but the scope is only a marginal question in some of the areas looking at audit, like the response of the European Commission to audit's role in the crisis in the Green Paper. And it's because of that that one of the first acts that I took last year as President was to establish a working group on the future of audit. And having engaged with stakeholders from every perspective, we produced a discussion paper in January of this year on the future of statutory audit. And the paper deals with many of the key issues around the scope of the audit and the manner in which the audit results are communicated to our wider stakeholder community. And the approach in that paper was to try and pose questions of stakeholders. And one of the interesting things about our engagement with stakeholders in that whole process was that there were as many solutions from people as there were problems. Some people said, well, auditors should just stick to the knitting and not comment on other areas, whereas others wanted to see a situation where auditors would do more, or the level of insight and understanding that it's clear from the Nyberg report that the auditors of the banks had about the level of concentration of risk, about issues around going concern, that there should be some mechanism to bring those out into the public as well, rather than have the traditional binary report. And this conference, I suppose, enables us to continue with the sessions on the future of audit, to have a debate around those areas. Because if audit is to fulfil a social role, then it's appropriate that the public at least understand that role. And from my perspective, the debate that is to take place around the Green Paper is very, very important, and it's one that we as a profession would look forward to engaging with the government and also with our MEPs. As an institute, our response to the financial crisis has been considerable, in addition to the role in relation to the Future of Audit Working Group. The CARB personal inquiry has cost our institute approximately €3 million in terms of dealing with the role of certain of our members involved in that. So I think we've shown a willingness to actually play our part to deal with issues that clearly affect our members or our profession, and also to do more to ensure that we meet society's needs in relation to the audit process. The second theme for the conference, the sub-theme, is about strategies and solutions for sustainable business success. And I think one of the things we need to do here is to focus on areas where we, as a profession, add value to business. And that may well be on one level in just helping companies to go and meet their obligations, but also on a higher level in terms of managing performance, in terms of devising strategy, where our members are adding value in working with businesses, in leading businesses and managing businesses to drive forward. And it's great that the conference gives us an opportunity to look at, in particular, some of the growth areas, such as the international businesses that are located in Ireland, for example, information technology. Particularly interested to hear what Paul Rellis has to say from Microsoft in relation to the opportunities, particularly around the whole area of cloud computing, which does seem to offer opportunities for Ireland to continue to be ahead of the pack. Because I think in looking to the future, what we need to do is to remind ourselves of what has enabled us to succeed as an economy in the past. It's clear that the Celtic Tiger, whereas the excesses, particularly in relation to the property market over the last few years of the Celtic Tiger, are something that we want to avoid. But the foundations of the Celtic Tiger were around investment in international finance, investment in ICT, investment in pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And those companies are still with us, and they're still leading the way in terms of delivering us through. However, just to move on to our first speaker, because international businesses are very, very important for Ireland, but indigenous business is also equally important as well, and it is important that we don't lose sight of that.